I get this question a lot, and that's what length bat should I use? What size of bat should I use? Let's tackle size first. So number one factor with size is you should use the bat that you feel comfortable with. Bottom line, in game, use the bat you feel comfortable with. If you're feeling like you got to switch from drop 10, drop 8 to drop 5 the next year, or you're going from drop 5 to a drop 3 next year, use the bat that's right for you right now that you're allowed to use, because you're going to move better. You're going to move like you should. You're going to move like the best version of yourself. And it's the performance time, right? It's time to go do your best and pad your stats and see how good you can do. It's not necessarily time to develop into what you're going to be doing next year. Now, with that being said, you train with your heavier bats in training, okay? So I'm not saying don't train with a heavy bat. I'm saying you don't need to do it in a game. Think about how many swings you actually take in a game. 3, maybe on a good day. Maybe 10 if you're just crushing a team where you're actually taking 10 swings, right? So I want to keep that in mind. Like, you're not actually getting that many reps in a game, so don't worry about those. Worry about your training reps. If you're trying to progress to from a drop 10 to a drop 5, you start using that drop 5 in your training, right? And then my recommendation also is don't go buy a new bat until you've messed around with a bat. Now at my place, in person, I have a couple different bats you can just mess around with, like see what you feel is best for you. Try to do that, or go to Scheels and find a way to test some of those bats before you buy it, because you might realize that you like a certain feel, you like more end-loaded, more balanced, skinnier handle, axe handle. So let yourself decide that before you throw down $300 plus on a tool. Second thing, length. Now, we want to optimize length. Length is important because it's like free leverage, right? So a longer lever is going to allow us free bat speed, right? So if we can swing a longer lever, it's going to yield us more power potential, right? As long as we have kind of that good moment of inertia and we're not sloppy, we're going to get more power potential from it. So if you think you're between sides, so say you're between, it's like 32 feels almost short, but I really am not confident with going to 33. They do make half sizes above 32 in some bats. But I think you want to try to err on the side of being on the longer side, okay? If a 32 feels right for you, you swing it well, awesome. Now, the other thing I'll say about length, it is nice to have 2 bats. I'm not saying you got to buy 2 bats. It's nice to have a buddy who's willing to let you use his 33 if your normal bat's a 32, okay? And here's why. On the slower pitching, where you feel like you're having to make a big adjustment, or guys who are throwing really loopy, slow curveballs and they're throwing them greater than 50% of the time, it's nice to have that longer bat because there's a little more weight to it. It's going to line your sweet spot up a little more naturally in space. So it's nice to be able to have the 32 and the 33 in your golf bag per se, right? You got 2 different clubs you use. And now we're not changing our swing so much. We're just kind of flipping between the length and the size. What I would avoid doing is to try to have 3 or 4 different bats of the same length and size, because I think that kind of creates a mental thing where it's like I'm just switching between bats all the time, whichever one's the hot bat. So not a huge fan of that. Not saying you can't do it. Just not a big fan of having a lot of different bats of the same length and weight. Pick one that you like, trust it, and if you're going to have a secondary bat, have one that's a different size, right? Yes, you can try a different weight, but I would say think more of different lengths before you think of different weights. So you can always reach out to me if you have questions on this, but I wanted to put together a good video about bat weight and length and what we're trying to optimize there, and some important notes.